So I say let's start with the most important news that just broke, and that is the New York Times report alleging that the president wanted Mueller fired. What do you think this means for the investigation?
Well, I think it's tremendously disturbing. And I believe that Congress should exercise their investigative and oversight authority. The Government Reform and Oversight Committee should hold hearings. Let's hear from the four people who allege this happened. Let's hear the story. We should have hearings in Congress, and also the Mueller committee should also proceed with the investigation of it. As the philosopher John Locke said, the purpose of law is not to restrict and restrain, but to empower, enlarge, and preserve freedom. Without law, there is no freedom. So this